And it's a salty run back on Sky Temple.
It is. Yeah, we didn't get a chance to talk about that yet. But Sky Temple it is. They are going back here. Perhaps they're going to change up their strategy a little bit. That's usually the case, of course. They want to throw something weird at them. They say, no. It had nothing to do with the map. This is why we lost. We got something new for you guys. We'll throw it at you. See how you deal with it. So.
And so the first ban and the first pick goes to SMG, and they opt to go with the same ban of Brightwing.
Yes. Also, I'm seeing that Vortex has opted to take second pick.
Yeah, that was their decision. Yeah,
that they opted to do it because, of course, they lost game one. They given that choice. So I hope that doesn't go back to bite them, but we'll see. I think I really feel like first pick has a big advantage, especially in this current meta. But we'll see how it works out.
Okay, so there's the ban on Stitches. Is that identical to the last game? Yes, it actually is.
Yep.
So the bans are the same. The map is the same. Deja vu, my friend. But what do we end up seeing here for the rosters? Well, we're about to find out. And the first pick Arthas seems like the right...
I don't see why they wouldn't pick Arthas here. I mean, okay, all right, so they're taking Tess.
So they're valuing the flexibility of Tassadar.
Right. Now, C9 Vortex is finding themselves in a very, very similar situation, of course, because the drafted map is identical at this point. Do they change their material strategy so that they can have a choice to grab Arthas here? Why not? Like, did they realize that maybe that was the problem with their... There it is. Arthas and Tyrael. Okay. I'm okay with this, though, because it denies SMG Arthas. And we know for a fact that Soldier has a very scary Arthas. So this makes a lot more sense. They can always grab more damage afterwards. There's more options there. There's not so many options when it comes to Warriors, and they've just grabbed two of them. With Stitches banned out, this doesn't leave SMG with too many options.
Now, the question is, obviously Muradin is a pick. Chen is not gonna happen.
Don't think so, huh? No?
Vala Kerrigan. So, Arthas Kerrigan, not an option, but Vala is there, and they're still going for that Kerrigan on Glaurung. But who's going to pair with Kerrigan? I could see Muradin being okay.
I mean, Muradin has taken quite a few hits in this past patch here. He originally had a very 10 times higher health regen at the base the start of the game. So that made him like a laning monster, more or less. He got a little bit of extra range to his Dwarf Toss, and his trait was buffed slightly, which is
laning in this game not really a priority.
On this map. Yeah,
not really
that's true.
A priority.
That's very true. So he also did get a little bit of buff on the HP of his, what is that? Avatar.
Yep.
Yeah, which is his heroic that most people grab at level 10, which gives him a micro stun, a quarter-second stun on every auto attack that he throws down. He gets a bunch of HP to start that out. So, you're right. I think Muradin is certainly a good amount of potential here to see him grabbed. I mean, they don't have too many other options. Are they gonna go no warrior? Or we've seen him do it before. It's not something that's completely out of the question, but only time will tell. Who do you think that Cloud9 is going to pick up for some damage here? You think they're going to go Zebo or...
I mean, Falstad's on the board. I'd be kind of shocked if we don't see Falstad. Yeah, Zebo makes a lot of sense, too.
Could go Falstad and Zebo.
I actually kind of want them to go Nazebo Zeratul.
Zebo makes a lot of sense in this map just because you know that the fights are going to be taking place in this really small area over those shrines.
And Void Prison is huge on this map.
Of course,
there's so many times where you have 3 people or 2 people waiting in that one bush, and you just lock down an entry to that shrine, and there's a lot of times people in there. So you can force really strong engagement, especially when you have Judgment, to just dive right on through and then lock people out and then pick a fight on one side of the battlefield. I would really like to see those be their picks here.
Makes a lot of sense, and I think there's certainly some good potential for that. Let's see. Do we have? We don't even have healers yet.
At this point, for
no Brightwing. Of course, is banned out.
Yep. I mean, it's going to be Uther and Mouth.
More than likely.
Lili is going to be on the table here, but I think Uther and Mouth are both higher tier in terms of this. Now, there's some cool stuff you do get out of the Lili, like we saw in that last game, like some of the talents.
How do you feel about the Lili's impact in the last game? Was it worth it giving up that? I mean, she could have probably grabbed.
There it is.
Mouth.
There's Wish Hector Zeratul.
Wow, look at that.
But
good.
It makes a lot. It just makes a lot of sense. It seems like the strongest play here. I think Lili was fine, but I think that Uther and Mouth would be better.
Yeah.
Whichever would be available, of course, in that scenario.
So at this point, we're looking at C9 Vortexes leaving their support pick for last, and I would say this allows SMG to sort of dictate which of those they're going to grab. Like you said, Uther and Mouth are the last 2 viable picks here, so whichever they grab, obviously Vortex is going to grab the other, and they can try to tailor the rest of their team around that.
Yeah. Very cool. This is kind of a weird, tough thing for SMG. We might see Tyrande Uther that's available. We might actually see that, but then their damage is really lacking. So I don't think that's really what they want to do. They need another frontliner to pair with Kerrigan. Now Thrall, believe it or not, could happen. Soldier can play Thrall as well as Glaurung. Glaurung would be playing Kerrigan, but Thrall is a thing, and they could throw. But then they need. It's actually really tough. Their draft is really weird.
They have a ton of damage already. I think Tassadar, Vala, Kerrigan. That's a good amount of damage. That's all the damage that they're going to need.
But they need a good frontliner to pair with
Kerrigan
right now.
Okay, they're really mixing things up.
ETC,
folks.
Oh, what?
So we saw ETC. I think Wildfire picked them round 2 of this tournament against SMG. What does Cloud9 have available to deal with the dance?
Stage
they
dive
have
on Ravenous Spirit.
What? Jake's making ridiculous calls early so that if he happens to get that pick, he's right. And
of course,
looks
he's
amazing.
immediately through my plans here.
All right,
this is very interesting.
So, I mean, ETC, they have to wait until after Judgment goes down.
Yep.
Right? I mean,
Yep.
I think that's how that interaction works. I mean, I think it'd be Judgments into... We don't see ETC very often, so it's hard for me to remember. I don't think if he's Judgmenting in, he doesn't get caught by the dance, does he? I don't recall that being the case with
Judgment is on his side.
Am I looking at this wrong? No, Tyrael.
Oh, I was thinking to myself.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think you're right. Judgment would, in fact,
I'm pretty sure it
that.
would. And Cast Aside as well.
More often than less, Judgment is used as an initiation. Judgment
that's
is used to initiate and throw the Void Prison down. That's the style they're going in. They do pick up Malfurion here. No more Lili, so a good decision there. We are ready to roll. It looks like Cloud9 is ready. Symbiote wants to give the ready. This game will be starting. Some weird stuff happening. ETC in this mix-up.
Craziness.
I didn't like with Tyrael and Arthas being picked up. It was kind of forced. I mean, I can almost
I think that was exactly their plan going into this draft. They said we banned out Stitches. We grabbed Arthas, Tyrael. But we're going to force you to take some weird kind of warrior class here.
But we saw the complete opposite happen in a previous game. So
yeah, I got to be honest with you. I just feel like the Cast Aside is going to be too easy of a counter to Mosh Pit.
Yeah,
and that's only coming 3 levels after he grabs that heroic. He has the Judgment. He has.
I want to see Stage Dive. That's all I'm going to say is I want to see.
Now,
Stage
what
Dive.
is it about Stage Dive that you think is actually going to complement this?
Just stops Ravenous.
But he gets it. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Stop Ravenous. It's on the opposite side. A lot of it's zoning out with the Void Prism, and then you just go in, and then they just go. I don't. We'll see. We'll find out. I don't know.
Jake with the crazy predictions.
This is actually just crazy. Like these drafts.
Yeah, I love it though. It's so cool to see this new type of innovation right after this big patch here. So a lot of fun. All right, let's get into introducing these teams. On the blue side, for Symbiote Gaming, we have Dreadnought on Uther. Arthlon's going to be playing Vala. Glaurung on Kerrigan. KO is going to be playing Tassadar. And Soldier is going to be playing the ETC.
On the money pig! On the other half of the map, we have Jar Jar playing as Nazebo. Liquid Death is going to be on Malfurion this game. K1 Pro will be playing Zeratul Bobby Hinkhill on Arthas. And last but not least is going to be iDream on Tyrael. This is going to be the salty run back game number 2 of the Grand Finals of Kick Storm weekly number 8 with SMG up 1-0.
Back on Sky Temple. How does their strategy change here? I mean, that they've picked up Arthas and Tyrael, of course, as we mentioned, but so they have much more of a front line. Things aren't going to be so crazy in terms of initiating onto team fights because they know they have that higher HP pool backing Tyrael up as he goes in. Will it be enough of a change? We'll have to see. Look at this. They've changed their gank squad up. ETC is now a part of the gank squad.
Gosh, the new spikes that come out of the Kerrigan is so cool.
I know, it looks great, doesn't it? Yeah, Blizzard has made a lot of visual changes to a good number of the skins, so we can see some of those showcased here. A lot of fun. Some of them are pretty cool.
KO getting a little bit cheeky here, but with Zeratul, he's just going to just fall back.
Yeah.
Obviously, of all the heroes that can get cheeky, he's probably...
Of course, yeah. Dimensional Shift offers a lot of...
and the shielding, yeah.
It's like sort of a get-out-of-jail-free card. You just tap it and you're immediately invulnerable for, I think, about a second and a half or so. Can't be targeted by anything, and you can still move, of course, to get out of CCs.
I got to give SMG some props having Dreadnought switch to support from tank.
Yeah, that's obviously a big change in roles. Ooh, this is not looking good. Should be able to get out, though.
Uther, yeah, if anyone can get out, I mean...
Right.
Uther lives again, as always.
Walks away.
Uther walks away. Yes, that was probably the earliest Heroes competitive meme, if you will.
Yep. And we do have those shrines popping up at, of course, minute and 30. That is the top mid shrine. And we've seen a lot of interesting strategies in terms of how teams approach this. Do they send all of their members in to fight the middle one and then go up and take the top one later? And we actually see a bit of a change here. Before we saw a bit of a fight in the mid there. Now teams are just opting to sort of stay away from each other. One will take the top, being Vortex, and SMG will take the mid one.
Now, it looks like they see through what they were doing. Dread has always been kind of left behind. But no, iDream just kind of looked like he wanted to do something, and he's going to find Arthlon here on the backside, who's going for K1 Pro. He picks up the kill. Glaurung under a lot of pressure here, but Soldier actually zones out for him, and Arthlon coming through the entire team. He just tumbles right on through. Dread, meanwhile, is soaking that middle tower, and they do it again. They take this really strong, advantageous position on the shrines. They backed up, tap the wells here. Vortex is trying to go back in, but their last hero, the Zeratul, is on his way back into this fight, and it looks like they managed to force him out. Oh my goodness, Arthlon gets very low, the shielding comes out, and is able to keep him alive. Honestly,
I didn't expect that. To just walk back in and completely shove them back off of that tower. Now, that said, SMG has the experience advantage here, and they did take overall many more shots to their enemy structures. So they did get a win there, but I was sort of expecting it to be an all SMG, especially after they shoved them out the first time. But
yeah, it's they just kind of fell back, tapped the well, and waited for Zeratul, and they managed to shove them out again. Both teams really respecting each other, but some really cool play, like SMG got the 1 kill. They managed to not die, and I have to say, this is kind of why I like the first pick Tassadar, because what they're doing is they're leaving Uther, their primary support, out, and the shielding from Tassadar with, of course, the healing ward is actually enough to sustain here.
Yeah, and you have a very good idea of where the team fights are going to be happening, so you can just sort of overlap half of that circle over the shrine that your team is trying to cap, where you know the team fight's going to be. So just back up into that healing ward, and it's much harder to get rid of now that it doesn't get hit by AoE.
SMG is completely surrounded right now as they try to steal these giants. They do pick them up, and they dodge the root mostly. Glaurung is just kind of out on his own right now, but he's going to be just fine. Kind of a scary scenario for them, but they end up being just fine.
Yeah,
and
what a cheeky play there, just going and walking into the enemy's giants there and just capping them in almost no contest from Vortex. So they're obviously very scared of what potential setups could have been there. But
SMG just murking really hard. That's kind of what we see out of them on this map. Very little laning. Now against Maelstrom and Vortex both kind of out soaking to kind of try to retain the levels, but SMG is opting to soak with 1 or 2 heroes, make sure they have 2 lanes at all times. Sometimes 3, we see 3 right now, but they're making sure they pick up as many mercs as they can and showing their hand only as the shrines are about to spawn.
Yeah, that's a really good sort of a distraction tactic, especially taking the top knights when they know that the following shrine is going to be bottom. Like, that's the only other place it could be. Yeah, and as Jake's pointing out there, we do have a mule on Nazeebo there. Makes sense, Cyril. You're not giving up as much.
He's going for the mule. He's actually opting to kill the mule. What a nice play down the Glaurung there.
Such a cool strategy. Yeah, and while this is going on, of course, Uther once again hanging back, taking that shrine. And they're even having a hard time here with this 4v4.
Yeah, it's 4v5.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
And Bobby Henkel is going to get pulled in. We see the one hero falls. Soldier in the front line is actually disrupting so much, providing so much peel. It's actually really quite interesting. In the meanwhile, Uther is just kind of fighting those guys back here at the shrine, making sure they get those charges fired away, and they take the first fort of the game. They have this massive experience lead. Level 10 has been achieved, and this is going to give them a pretty safe buffer to take the loss. But
yeah, this is...
Remember game 1 against versus Maelstrom on this map?
Oh, the boss. You're talking the boss. The boss fight did not go very well for them, but I think that they're pretty safe in this situation. They know they can see that they're taking top lane here, so they can pretty safely take this boss, and they have the heroics is going to make a big difference here. And speaking of that, we can actually discuss that real quick. We do have Divine Storm for Uther, Rain of Vengeance for Vala, Maelstrom on Kerrigan, Archon will be on Tassadar, and Mosh Pit.
My bold predictions have failed me.
Yep.
No stage dive here. Mosh Pit is, of course, going to be a big, scary thing that Vortex is going to have to worry about.
Yeah. So what that does, of course, is it puts down a small ring around ETC. Anyone caught inside is just sort of forced to, quote-unquote, dance. During that time, they can't take any actions, and they're effectively stunned out during that time. So it leaves the rest of SMG, if they so choose. Obviously, you're going to throw down a bunch of AoE damage, and he can be interrupted out of it, which is why it typically hasn't been picked up too much in the past.
Right.
And I was talking about Tyrael having a lot of choices to interrupt with Cast Aside as level 13 talent for Smite, which will knock out someone immediately that gets touched by the Smite, and also Judgment. So
that's really it, though. It's really just Tyrael that can interrupt. So that's,
I mean, Void Prison could play some weird part into it, but yeah, I think you're right about that. It's gonna. iDream has he's got a big plate ahead of him to make sure that he deals with that mosh pit.
Yeah, you're right. But like you said, Cast Aside is a big option, and especially, do we have battle momentum here on Tyrael?
Yes,
we do. So it's going to be off cooldown so very quickly.
Right. And speaking of level 10, we just grabbed that for Cloud9 Vortex. We have Judgment and Silence. I didn't even think about that.
Twilight.
Silence. Okay, yes. So Twilight Dream, that will silence anyone caught in the AoE of that. It does a fair bit of damage, and silences for 3 seconds. That's another way that they can sort of work to deal with that mosh pit.
Soldier's in a weird spot here. They're engaging on pretty hard, but with Dread in the front line as well. Archon goes off. Rain of Vengeance being used. There is the dance. He clips both Bobby Henkel and Liquid Chef, just gets on the edge of it. He uses that silence, but I don't even know if it hit anything. Ravenous Spirit is getting a lot of work done with Glaurung backing up, actually using the minions to escape there. Divine Storm on iDream.
Nicely
and
done.
iDream's in a rough spot. 2 members down on the side of Maelstrom, and they're just kind of managing to barely stay alive with the multiple kind of support style here. And of course, Soldier can heal himself up a little bit with his E.
Yeah, no, they're basically going to be saving that Twilight Dream, the silence, just to interrupt mosh pit. That's exactly what happened there. I mean, he got most of the mosh pit off anyway, and it got most of its value. But he walked up right next to it, silence, and it knocked him right out of the dance. So they have a couple ways to deal with it now. So, but I mean, there's a lot of ways to meta play around that, because you can save the dance, and then you know that they're going to be saving 2 heroics. They're not going to use them until they see dance.
Right.
So you're basically trading out a 1 for 2 in that situation.
Now, it's 5v4 once again, but a 3-level advantage for Symbiote here. Bobby Henkel gets pulled in. Maelstrom goes off by Glaurung with the ETC in the front line. iDream is in a terrible position. Does he have the dash for it available here?
No mana.
Power slide. No, he doesn't have the mana like you said, so we cannot power slide there. The big chase going underway. Rain of Vengeance to secure this kill on Liquid Chef, and the power slide is available as mana has regen. KO and the backline just kind of peeling, helping them get out.
It's crazy fight.
It's not looking good here. 4 levels ahead is Symbiote Gaming.
I mean, do you think that this composition they have is enough to shake things up on this map for them? Because I mean, I got to say, 4 levels down at this point, things are looking about the same as they were last game. I mean, they did grab a mule this game. That helps a little bit, but they just are having such a hard time maintaining any kind of map control.
They're constantly terrified to initiate. They're constantly just skirting around, and they're losing fights 4-5.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to put it nicely, but they're getting demolished right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, the structures are telling the whole story. Every single fort on Cloud9 Vortex's side is gone already, and SMG has taken no losses in terms of structures.
We haven't seen a single big Void Prison Ravenous Spirit. That's what we expected to see in the draft, but there's the Void Prison, but it's used in a very weird manner. They're just kind of trying to pick off Glaurung. We see Soldier use the dance here in 2 members. It is 5v2. Glaurung almost got away.
Yeah.
Twilight Dream goes off, and they're going to engage here. Now, we have the Ravenous Spirit going in the backline, but KO coming from the backside. Soldier going in, knocking him out of the Ravenous Spirit. Rain of Vengeance doing a lot of work as well. And honestly, SMG managed to take this scenario, which looked very bad, and they're flipping around in their favor. 2 kills to 1 right now.
What is going on?
Liquid Chef is very low. That level advantage is really showing off right now, because honestly, it would look, I mean, they make this look easy, and it's completely because of how far ahead they are.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point to bring up. But I got to say, I really just didn't like the positioning of that Ravenous Spirit there. He was standing way too close, to be honest with you. He could have backed up a little bit further, closer to his towers, and still shot off that same Ravenous Spirit. And we just saw Soldier just dash in, immediately knock him back with that loudspeakers, and you saw how the rest of the fight went.
I've never watched the boss crawl out of that hole there. That was I'm so excited about that. But yeah, that's going to be another boss here. The second it spawns, SMG is there ready to kill it. We see the bottom shrine will be spawning in just about 15 seconds. The temple will be activated. I guess they're not shrines. I guess they're temples.
Yes.
Bad
temples.
terminology.
My apologies.
And we're going to see them just make their way down here.
Yep.
Cloud9 looking for that pick, but the level 16 talent advantage to 13.
Yeah,
kind of
Vortex
big
is
deal.
a little bit too late to that boss fight there, and I mean, there's choices that SMG can push with the boss, which is so scary with this when you consider the CC of that tornado that he spawns that can easily zone someone out, and I mean it's pretty random, so you can't even see it coming. Or you can have someone take the shrines, have one person do both. We have a huge fight coming up here.
We saw Twilight Dream go off already. Glaurung is getting so much done. Maelstrom keeping him alive. Soldier is forced to use pretty much whatever he can right now, but he actually manages to stay alive. I actually have no idea how. Divine Storm hitting 3 members, and Glaurung pulls 4 of them back in. The root is trying to zone, but KO uses the phase shift to go through the roots. It looked like they were completely safe, but he's just going forward with that awesome, incredibly aggressively. The Golem, the boss, takes out that bottom base, and the mosh pit is just kind of gonna rip around the rest of this team. Liquid Chef is gonna fall, and that's gonna be a quick 12-minute game here on SkyTech.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so there was a lot of stuff that happened in that last game. The only reason that Soldier was alive is because the cast aside actually knocked him through his own team to safety. So I mean, there was that misplay there, and then we saw a couple of really, really nice plays. Glaurung got a sweet pull on like 3 or 4 of the members of the other team. The offensive dimensional shift out of KO, and he did grab that speed upgrade at level 16, so he was able to dash through the rest of the enemy team there to catch up and get extra kills there, which really just allowed them to secure that win. Really, really nice play at the end there from SMG in that last fight.
The salty run back has failed, and
Yeah.
SMG played with ETC and they made it work. And a lot of it didn't come down to just getting big dances. It's just their team was really solid and they would knock people out. I mean, every time Nazeebo was there, ETC was able to really get in Nazeebo's face and then just knock him back with loudspeakers.
Yeah, they never got a really crazy position on the Ravenous Spirit, which is what you really look for in terms of that. So,
and the Void Prisons as well were lackluster.
Yeah, they didn't really set up for any huge plays. We saw them like isolate a couple people here and there, but they just didn't have the follow-up. The one time that they did get a nice initiation on Glaurung at the top, like it was a fight that they really should have taken very handily and just didn't manage it because of the level advantage they had.
Yeah, the level advantage is the name of the game there, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
they had it and they kept it, and it worked for them, you know?
Yeah.
So I got to say, I'm not so sure about them going back to Sky Temple. I think Game 1 really proved that SMG feels comfortable on that map, and I don't think going back there really changed too much, and obviously it wasn't enough in this situation. So I think that they should probably go to a more neutral map, something that they feel comfortable on, and try to just beat them out in the draft situation and try to just get the comps that they really need. But
well, guys, it is in fact a best of 5 series, so we're not done yet.
It is a 2-0 lead. This is match point for SMG to take Kings of the Storm weekly number 8. I think we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and when we return, we'll bring you game number 3.